Alabama football has had many spectacular running backs over the years, and the subject of today's video could be the next one in line. I mean, you've had tons of great players. Just in the last few years, you've had Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Robinson, Najee Harris, TJ Yeldon, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Trent Richardson, and Bo Scarborough. The Tide are typically loaded at the running back spot, and this year they have a couple of great guys, but the person I want to spotlight is a true freshman by the name of Justice Haynes. He was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, was one of the top Georgia high school running backs ever, and after a spectacular spring game, it looks like he can make an impact right away for the Tide. In today's video, I'm going to introduce you to who this guy is, talk about why he's gaining so much hype, and my thoughts on the Alabama running back room this year. But before we get started, quickly be sure to leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new and love college football content, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I could cover next. Now, let's get started. For the 10th time in the Nick Saban era, Bama has signed the #1 class. This year's class included a handful of 5-star players, and Justice Haynes was one of them. The guy is a huge deal, as going back in time, his family actually runs in the NFL. His father was a former Georgia running back and was actually drafted in the 5th round by the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 2002 NFL Draft. In total, he ended up winning a Super Bowl at the Steelers and had 738 yards and 3 touchdowns in 9 years in the league. Like father, like son, Haynes would later blow up and started as a true freshman at one of the best high schools in the country, Blessed Trinity High School, which is located in Georgia. Eventually, he became a big-time recruit, as during his junior season, he would transfer to Buford High School. In his first 3 years of high school, he ran for 5,800 yards, and then for his senior year, he ran for 1,600 yards. In total, the guy was not human. In 4 years as a varsity high school football player, he appeared in 48 games with 777 carries, rushing for 7,407 yards and 91 touchdowns. He would transfer to Buford High School, and for the back half of his career, his recruitment was completely national. Where was he going to go? Well, he chose the Crimson Tide over Georgia, Florida, Ohio State, and USC. Why the Tide? He said, quote, "I feel like at Alabama, I can get developed on and off the field as a man. Then, just playing under Nick Saban, he's going to hold you accountable no matter what you do, and Bama is great, and Tuscaloosa is a great place." Haynes knew for a while, but it was a shock to the Tide staff. He said, quote, "They were shocked. They were like, this made my day, and wow, I can't believe it." You could tell they were excited. Haynes would continue to shine, and Bama had locked him up, but Georgia didn't stop recruiting him. Hopefully he'd eventually turn the corner and make a flip to the Dogs, but that would never end up happening. He'd end up plowing through the record books and made a name for himself in Georgia high school football history. He finished 7th all-time with 7,574 rushing yards. Sports Illustrated's director of recruiting said, quote, "Haynes is a 3-down back with the physical build to play in the SEC right now." What did other scouts have to say? Well, one said, quote, "Haynes has all the tools to be the next star running back at Alabama. Scouts love his vision and his ability to run through contact." According to 24/7 Sports, Justice was a 5-star recruit, the #2 running back, and the 24th best player in the class of 2023. Haynes was a guy who was getting talked about a lot, but once Nick Saban started to give him more attention, he went nuts. Saban said, quote, "He's done a really good job all spring. If you were a guy on a log and you didn't know it, you would not believe he is a freshman. How good could he be? Well, he's hoping to follow in the path of guys like Mark Ingram, Trent Richardson, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Najee Harris, and most recently Brian Robinson." While those guys weren't 1,000-yard rushers as true freshmen, there was one guy who actually was, and that was TJ Yeldon. While unfortunately he had a fumbling problem throughout his career, he ran for over 1,100 yards in 2012, which was insane for a true freshman. A few years ago, we saw John Mechie blow up at the A-Day game, and Haynes did that this past spring. He ended up scoring a team-high 3 touchdowns, as he had 10 carries for 24 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then had 4 catches for 40 yards and another score. He was playing against the best players, and despite other talented options being on the team, Haynes really stood out and was one of the best players from spring football. Going into 2023, he joins an extremely crowded running back room that already includes 2 guys with a lot of experience in Jace McClellan and Roydale Williams, and then Jamarion Miller is also back. New offensive coordinator Tommy Rees loves to run the ball, and that's why many think Haynes could see an early impact with the Tide. Rivals national recruiting director said, quote, "Haynes has all the tools to be the next great Alabama running back in a long line of them. It took a lot of courage to spur in Georgia, where he was a legacy, and he brings to the Tide a physical, tough running style mixed with speed and vision in Alabama's backfield." As we all know, Saban is trying to go back to his roots and make his teams pound the rock again, and Haynes could be that guy either this year or in the future. We all know Saban is willing to play the best guy right away, And while I do think Jace McClellan will be the starter, I think Haynes will have an opportunity to become that backup running back, and by the end of the season, we'll have everybody talking about him. I remember him going crazy in the spring game, and we'll just have to wait and see. But what do you guys think? If you're an Alabama fan, what do you think of Justice Haynes? What do you think of this year's running back room, and what players should I cover next? Be sure to let me know down below, leave a like if you're going to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out all my other videos on the end screen. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.